Y'all ready for this? Dun, 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 dun. Obviously, I am very jazzed because today we are making beeswax candles. You're probably thinking, okay, why are we making beeswax candles? Like, what's the hype here? Because there are a lot of hype things out there, like trendy things. I don't know if this is a trend, actually. I don't really pay attention, but why beeswax candles? Why do I like beeswax and prefer beeswax over pretty much any other sort of candle, like even soy? Beeswax candles have a longer burn time. So beeswax has a higher melting point, so it's gonna burn longer. It burns more cleanly. There's not as much smoke. So I really like that. It is a calm light, and it actually helps pull impurities from the air, which I think is, for me, that's what sold me. Is it's not adding to your air pollution in your house, it's actually taking away. So perfect. And plain beeswax candles actually smell really good. It's just a very light, natural smell. You can add smell to it if you want, and I will get to that in a minute. So those are my main reasons why I like using beeswax and why I think it's a really good thing to use. And I know that may sound intimidating. What? We're making candles? Like, this is gonna be real hard. Well, actually it's not. A lot of homemade things are way simpler than what you think. The process is fairly simple. There's not a lot to it. It's essentially melt and pour. The very, very small gist of it is just melt and pour. So to make beeswax candles, obviously you need some beeswax. This is organic yellow beeswax from Bulk Apothecary. Kind of expensive, but definitely worth it. There are a lot of scammy people on Amazon, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend getting beeswax from Amazon, but if that is your only choice, that's fine. If you can source it local, that's another good option. I've also sourced like a block of beeswax from our local, we have like a local bee store. That's a good place to get it too. I choose yellow because yellow is its more natural state. It doesn't go through as much processing as like a white beeswax would. So I would definitely stick with organic yellow beeswax if you can. You're also gonna need some coconut oil. Again, I would use organic, this is organic, unrefined, cold pressed coconut oil. That's what I would use, just because my whole aim for this is, you know, to make better products. So I want to use better ingredients. So to me, it's worth it to pay a little bit more. All right, so there are a couple different ways you can make candles. You can do like a double boil method where you use a container. I have like a metal container. You fill a pot of water and then boil it on the stove and it melts. I've done that. It works. Personally, I like using a crock pot. I feel like it's not as messy as double boiling it, but obviously use what you have. You know, don't go out and buy special things. Like, do this a couple times, and then if you find you really like it, then maybe invest a little bit more into the supplies that you're using. But right now, use what you have. Hodgepodge things work just as well. So today I'm going to be using the crock pot. Again, it's super simple. I already have mine on, so it's heated a little bit to kind of speed the process up a little bit. So like I said, it's very simple to make. It's essentially melt and pour. The ratios for making candles, I use 1 cup of beeswax to a 1/3 cup of coconut oil. You don't have to use coconut oil. I've made candles with just beeswax. I will say the coconut oil helps the candle burn more evenly, so you're not having tunneling. So what tunneling is it's your wick is here and then it basically will just tunnel down. When you have the coconut oil in it, it helps it spread out more. So that's why I would use coconut oil. So anyway, so I have 2 cups. So I'm doubling the amount. So I have 2 cups of beeswax and I'm gonna do 2/3 cup of coconut oil approximately, because my coconut oil is not melted. So it can be tricky to measure coconut oil when it isn't melted. So we're gonna do the best we can. We're gonna do the best we can. So we are going to pour our little beeswax into our crock pot. Let that get all good and melted. Oh, maybe if I can get this open. Yeah, let's see. Sucker sealed on there. After you've struggled to get your coconut oil open, we're gonna add it. That was embarrassing. Just know, yes, this looks like it's like overflowing and I'm gonna have too much, but know that it's not gonna be too much. And now we eat. Honestly, waiting for the beeswax to melt is probably like the longest part. And letting it cure, but then nothing's required of you to do that. It's just the in-between. 84 years later. The beeswax has finally melted. So we are going to work on our wick situation next before we pour. So we don't want to put these in our jars all willy-nilly, or else you're going to end up with some cockeyed looking candles. You want the wick to be in the center as close as possible. These wicks and these jars I got off Amazon. This is an 8-ounce jar. I think some of my wicks are still from my mother-in-law. She gave me like a box of candle making stuff. So I just went with that. But also, if you're looking on Amazon for wicks, just, you know, get the ones that are as natural as possible. So anyway, I have my jar. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna dip the metal part of my wick in the beeswax and create kind of like a glue to make it stick to my jar. That way it's not moving around on me, because that is really annoying. The other thing I would do before you do that is you want your wick to stay steady. So something else that's going to help while the wick is hardening in there with your like glue, and while after you pour in your beeswax mixture, is your little stick thing. But I don't have sticks, I have pencils. It's a very scientific way to do it, honestly. It's very professional. We're very professional here. So I just have these pencils. I'm going to loop it around, loop my wick around. So then I kind of have this little bracey thing, enough so that the tin part can still reach the bottom, but that way the wick is going to be straight. So yeah, this is the way I've done it, and I found it easier doing it this way than other ways. So I'm going to give her a little old dipperoonie. So now it's in my jar. I don't know how well you can see it. Now I got it on the bottom of my jar. I'm gonna try to get the wick on my pencil to stay in the center. So that way when your candle burns, it's not gonna be too close to one side. Okay, let's talk about scent real quick before I do all of these. If you want a stronger scent, what I would do is douse your wick in whatever scent. So I made my own vanilla scent. This is just witch hazel and vanilla beans. Throw it in a jar and basically forget about it. Shake it up every once in a while. So I'm just going to dip my wick in the vanilla. It smells good. So it's going to have a stronger smell. And at the end, you can also add essential oils. I'll probably do that too, to add like some lavender into it. But you can do it this way, where you dip it into your scent, or take a couple teaspoons. I would do at least a couple teaspoons and mix it into your beeswax once you've poured it into the jars. If you're doing more than one scent like I'm doing, labeling as you go is helpful. So if you're looking for scent combinations, because sometimes you're like, well, I want my candle to smell good, what are some good scents? Well, I got you. So one of them, I'm doing a vanilla lavender. I'm gonna just do a plain lavender. A lavender and peppermint is a really good one, or like lavender eucalyptus, or if you want more of like that musky smell, manly smell, lavender and cedarwood is a very good one to do. Once your candles are all set with your very scientific, very official pencil sticks, I have my beeswax. So we're gonna pour the beeswax into our candles and then we'll do the scents. What I suggest is, if you're working with a crock pot or whatever container you're using to melt the beeswax, if it doesn't have like a spout, I would recommend using like a Pyrex dish or just something with a spout. It's gonna make pouring a lot easier and way less messy. What I'm gonna do my lavender and peppermint, and I'm gonna do a teaspoon of each, which may seem like a lot, but if you actually want to be able to smell it, you do need to add quite a bit, more than a couple drops, or it's not going to smell like anything. Once you've added your scent into your candle, you want to let the beeswax harden before you take the pencil off. Once it's hardened and you know the wick isn't going to move around anywhere, you can remove the pencil. Then let the beeswax sit for about 24 hours and really harden, cure, get all that scent. And then once it's done that for 24 hours, then you can burn it. Make sure you cut your wick to an appropriate size. I think it's like 2 inches. You don't want a lot of extra. I have seen a lot of people making candles add like herbs in them, lavender, rosemary, like roses. I don't do that because it's a fire hazard. My worry is if adding it to the candle, adding like lavender buds, if it were to catch on fire, you know, is it going to warp the glass or anything like that? So anyway, that is how you make your very own beeswax candles.